go to Pat's friend every time they need a new car to sell. They've got to go and buy a volume, and so they're going to have to buy it quickly. So this means that Carvana is going to buy some cars that are probably not good, right? Some of those are going to slip through the cracks. So what are they going to do with these cars that slip through the cracks? There's some options that they could take, right?
And they have those data sheets for all those cars, right? So
but that's when they're deciding to buy them. So they have data sheets. They're certainly using that information when they're deciding on what to bid. But at the end of the day, they've got to they had that data, they bought it. Turns out the transmission was bad. The data sheet had no way of indicating that, right? I mean, it wasn't or it wasn't known when the car was being sold, or wasn't represented correctly, or something, right? They got the car now. They got to do something with it.
Repair them.
So they could repair them. So if bad buy, let's put some options here. They could repair them. All right. What else could they do?
Scrap it.
I was going to say salvage, but yeah.
Salvage. So just to a junkyard. Just junk it.
Junkyard for parts or dealers or something. But
Okay, so junking it is kind of extreme.
salvaging is taking the parts out there that are still good and selling those in business.
Okay, so salvaging would be another fairly extreme solution.
Put it back up for auction.
We could put it back up for auction. However, this time when they put it at auction, what's going to happen?
It's
Lower price.
known as a defective vehicle.
Because if Carvana is selling the car at auction, then it doesn't meet Carvana's quality standards, and therefore people now know that, right? So they're going to take take a bath here, right?
They could try to, fix it. They could just try to fix it.
So they could fix it. There's one other option up here, at least, Andrew.
Is salvage the same as parted out?
Yeah, I'd say about the part of that.
Yeah.
There's at least one other option here. Mark.
They could sell it as is.
Sell as is. So they could sell as is, and my my fictional used car dealer that I always think about is Uncle Vinny's Used Car Emporium, and certainly we would expect Uncle Vinny to sell as is, right? Hope that it, the lemon law time period expires before the car actually goes bad, right? So if he sells as is, I mean that's I think generally what people expect to happen in the used car market. So in this case, they may not lose any money at all, right? What's the problem with this approach?
Good luck finding a buyer.
Well, I mean, we're selling online. They have no idea. They haven't even test drove these cars. Dennis?
Impact reputation.
Ah, okay. This is a reputation risk here.
So could they put a disclaimer on there?
What's that?
Could you put some type of disclaimer on there saying we don't think this is a good car, but you can buy it if you want it?
They could, but what's going to happen if they start doing that on their website?
People aren't going to trust them.
Yeah, I mean, they're starting to build out a brand new business model here to try to get you to buy your car online, right? Nobody's ever done this before. I mean, if you start putting disclaimers on your website, about, even if that's fair and a reasonable thing to do, it might even be something you could do today. Now that some people have gotten more comfortable with buying online, we can say we found this defect in the transmission, buyer beware. But here we go. This is the Carvana experience. It significantly complicates this easy buy, low friction process, right? Even if I'm willing to, maybe as a buyer I'm willing to take that risk. Now I've got to filter out cars by, this one has maybe a transmission problem. I don't know about that. Maybe I can fix it. Maybe I don't. All that is going to complicate the car buying experience, and their pitch is to make it easy and simple. They sell as is, they end up with a reputation risk when they've done all these things to build trust, right?
Actually, that actually kind of does build trust too. If you have a dented, scratched section, right, of the website, so these are going to have faults that we're going to tell you that they are, and if people want to buy that car because they want to part it out for other cars, they'll know. It's building trust because they're revealing it and giving an option to maybe for themselves to not lose as much money as the other options for that bad car.
And they do it for the 360-degree views. They advertise specifically that they highlight every dent and scratch.
Right.
That's a little different than a lemon though, right? That's cosmetic defects, which some people are perfectly fine with. I honestly target cars with hail damage because they look terrible but run just fine. Other people don't like them, right? So it's you know, they're trying to build trust in exactly that way. But it's a little different when you're talking about a limit. A limit is something that's going to require some major, you know, mechanical repair work soon. Okay, so they're probably going back to auction. They're going to take a bow from that car, right? Because of their, especially early on, their reputation is. Maybe now they could implement something where they you know, let a more sophisticated buyer take a chance on something if they wanted to. So they want to minimize bad buys. And these are, I mean, this is not something that, like Uncle Vinny's Used Car Emporium also wants to minimize bad buys, right? Uncle Vinny doesn't like selling bad cars any more than Carvana likes selling bad cars. But in some sense, Carvana's got a national reputation to think about, and we've actually seen, I don't know if anybody has picked up on this, but there's been some bad press about Carvana over the last couple of months. Has anybody seen those articles? Harlan?
Was some of it like the registration time, like to get you buy the vehicle, but then you wait 7 weeks to get your registration? People are really excited about that.
Yeah, that's what the bad press has been about, right? This is not about bad cars. It's that like it took a while to get their registration, which, you know, probably was just a few people who slipped through the cracks. But now it's leaving a bad impression for a lot of people nationally, right? So Uncle Vinny sells a bad car to somebody local. Maybe that guy never goes back to Uncle Vinny. Maybe he tells his friends not to. But Uncle Vinny probably survives. Carvana sells some bad cars and it blows up nationally, and it's a potentially existential risk here. So they're looking to be very careful about not selling bad cars. So how do they find? But they're buying them at auction here, right? They don't have much. They can't test drive them. They can't like take them to the dealer. They can't, you know, do a thorough inspection. How do they go about finding these good cars and avoiding the bad ones? Yes.
Data analysis.
Data analysis. Data mining. Wait a second. That's the name of this class. Okay. So what might be associated with a car being a bad buy? Let's get some hypotheses on the board. Dennis?
Some that were in Hurricane Katrina. So like environmental factors, geographical factors.
Okay, so let's make this concrete to what we have as far as data goes. So we're going to be asking, actually, of the data, can we determine whether or not this hypothesis makes sense? So we've got a data dictionary in the back here, Exhibit 1. And so you're saying, like, something like Hurricane Katrina. How would that look in the data? How would we test this?
Location, time frame.
So time and what?
Location.
Time and location. So the concrete prediction would be something like if Louisiana and what, 2003?
I don't remember if that's the actual date, but
2000, it's somewhere around 2000. I think it was a little.
I think it was 2005.
2005. That sounds closer. 2005. Then that means bad buy probability goes up. Okay, so that's the concrete hypothesis. All right. What other concrete hypotheses?
You could say the make or the model of the car. Like certain cars or certain manufacturer just not
Okay.
reliable.
So you're saying certain make and model.